Hey everyone, today's video is going to be a little different than my usual. I keep hearing people talk about Bazzite, so I finally got curious enough to actually install it on my Genki save point and to give it a try. For others that don't want to risk messing up their Windows install, I would recommend checking out the Genki save point or even an external SSD and give it a try on that first before you go full committal. What we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at a few games running on both Bazzite and Windows, and we're going to just watch to see how they perform side by side. One thing to note going into these tests is that the Windows FPS counter was updating a little bit slower than it was on Bazzite, so just keep that in mind for these tests. Horizon Forbidden West at 30 watts seems to be performing pretty much the same on the two, maybe a slight advantage here for Bazzite. It is a little bit difficult to tell because of the update interval, but I think it is getting an extra frame or two. And then looking at 15 watts, it looks like there is an advantage here for Bazzite, so this game does seem to run a little bit better at 15 watt as well as 30. It's not a massive gap, but we'll take what we can get here. Next up, we're going to take a look at Baldur's Gate 3, and this one seems to be performing pretty much the same with Windows 11 as well as Bazzite. The frame difference here, I would say, comes down to margin of error as well as the frames not being completely lined up. And then looking at 15 watt, it seems to confirm what we were suspecting. The performance is pretty much the same. There's maybe a frame or two advantage here and there for Bazzite, but I don't know if that's just because of the update interval. So I'm going to call this one a draw. Now we'll take a look at God of War 2018, and this game does seem to have the advantage on Windows. It seems to be hovering mostly in the mid 60s, where on Bazzite it's at the low 60s. So we're looking at about a 4 to 5 frame dip here with these particular settings. And at 15 watt, it seems to be kind of the same story here. There's a little bit of discrepancy here with the update interval, again, getting in the way, but pretty much the same results as 30 watts here. Now taking a look at Helldivers 2, the performance here at 30 watts seems to be pretty much the same. Like there's a frame or two here and there, but it goes in advantage of Bazzite and sometimes in Windows 11, so it seems to be running pretty much the same. Now looking at 15 watt, there seems to be a decent advantage here for Bazzite. Now I'm not sure if I just messed up a test or something, but this seems to be a pretty decent jump. We're looking between 5 to 10 frames per second, which is pretty big. Now on to Cyberpunk 2077, they do seem to be running fairly close, but there is an advantage here for Windows 11 when we're taking a look at the 30 watt performance. It seems to range between 2 to 5 FPS advantage here when we're looking at Windows 11, and let's take a look at 15 watts. And here we're seeing pretty much the same thing. We're seeing a slight advantage here, like 3 to 5 frames for the Windows 11, so definitely a performance drop when we take this game over to Bazzite. And next up, we're going to take a look at The Witcher 3, and this game seems to be performing a little bit poorly on Bazzite. Like there's quite a big gap here. We're getting in the high 70s on Windows, where we're getting just around 60 on Bazzite. Now taking a look at 15 watt, it seems to be pretty much the same story here. Windows is doing a lot better than Bazzite on this game. We're getting in the 70s mostly, where on Bazzite we seem to be largely in the 40s to 50s. Interestingly, the drop from 30 watt to 15 on Windows was not that bad actually. And moving on to Doom, interestingly we have the complete opposite of The Witcher 3, where it's actually running quite a bit better on Bazzite here. We're getting like an additional 10 frames to 15 frames per second on Bazzite, which is pretty crazy. Sometimes Windows gets up there, but then it dips down quite a bit. And when we take a look at 15 watts, same story, it actually looks almost worse. Bazzite is definitely destroying Windows on Doom Eternal. So yeah, that's Bazzite versus Windows 11 on a few games. This isn't an all-encompassing test by any measure, but it's just a few games that I play, and it looks like, for the most part, I think games are running a little bit better on Windows, but there are a few exceptions here where Bazzite seems to take the lead. And on the games that it does have an advantage, it seems like 15 watt, it seems to get like an extra boost, so I'm not sure what that's about, but anyway, it was an interesting test. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and if Bazzite is something that you're interested in, if you'd like a guide on how to set this up on your onexfly or another handheld, just let me know in the comments and I could take a look at that. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.